Surprise! I know you guys weren't expecting to see us, but we're here and happy Sunday. Welcome to our special episode of Let's Talk About You. We're just glad that you're joining us on this special episode. We want to be true to our word, and our wants to be true to keeping his as well. And we're here for another quick in to let you all know the snippets of what this creative guru is up to, what's next for him, and what's going on. But before that, let's do some housekeeping and say thanks to our special sponsor for today. Look who's back, Mr. Shamari Haynes. And he is back with his creation and he wants to share it with us. And let's talk about you. And we had to come back to let him do his thing on our show because it's just always an honor and a privilege when we have a guest and then they want to come back. So we're going to do it twice as nice. Welcome back to Let's
Thank
Talk
you
About
very
You.
much. Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to be back.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying yes once again. And we're just so gracious to have you. Thank you for having it happen again. And I just want to say that we missed you the last time, and I understand. But let's get into the creativity. I love the colors that you're wearing today.
Thank you.
You even gave me the inspiration to. I had to do something. I had to come in with a little color because I just love the colors for today. I love it. I love it,
Thank
and
you.
it's going to make it for a happy, wonderful show. So thank you so much for coming back to Let's Talk About You.
No problem.
So
Thank you for having me.
what have you been up to? Tell us about what we want to know. Let's begin
Girl,
wherever you want to, and we're going to just go with the flow.
I have been working nonstop, nonstop around the clock. So we were supposed to connect August 4th. I had literally just come off from us kicking off our costume launch, which took place on August 3rd. I got extremely sick, which was a learning lesson for me because I realized, I'm getting older and I don't think I'm able to like keep going on the clock like I usually do. Folks who know me know that I am 101% dedicated to my job, but outside of my job, my troop is my life. And then there's like all the other like bits and pieces, family and self personal time for yourself and stuff. So I've been going. But I'm excited to announce and share that we've launched our 17th presentation for the upcoming Crucial Christmas Festival. The feedback has been very, very good. I was able to stick to my aesthetic. Um, but also reintroduce some elements that we used in like our design process in the past, but also keep the costumes obviously very trending and fresh. Sometimes it is like extremely hard to find a medium, right? So I think I was able to figure it out, and based on feedback and the sections being almost sold out within like 2 weeks, I think I've like literally, I hit the mark.
I mean, I just love to see your excitement when you talk about your creation because I know that you're an extremely talented person and you're definitely gifted in your craft. And when you talk about it, it's just like an aura as yes, I'm doing this and remain the light. And I love that energy. I love that energy that you're dedicated to your craft, to your gifting. So I love that.
There's a
So
process in like creation like most folks don't see, right? So unless you're like a creative, like you know firsthand like the highs and lows, the sleepless nights, the self-sabotage, the doubt, um you know depending on what your craft is, you have to look at things with an editorial eye. But then when the finished product is completed, right? There's a sense of fulfillment and joy that I receive at least. Because I also do know that this isn't something that I do overnight. It's months and months of planning. Hours of editing, going to sleep, getting back up the next day, looking at it, tweaking it a little bit. And then even after it's finished, you always think to yourself, well, I could have maybe fixed that a little bit, or maybe I could have changed this or added that. But it's all a part of the process, and I really, really enjoy it.
And I agree with you with that, with regards to, you go through this process of, you have your idea in your mind, and you see it and you can taste it and you feel it, and that's just the beginning stages. And then when you get into it and you do it, it's like, was it good enough? Am I missing
Right,
something? Are they going to get it? Are they going to see my vision? Will
right.
somebody say something? And you just go through that downward spiral of the self-sabotage. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to be true to your gift. And not everybody's going to like it. But once you're
Sure.
true to what you feel inside, you got this. You got it.
Correct. Correct. Indeed. I know that all too well. I spent a lot of time, even after we released the costumes, calling my friends and I was like, what do you think? What do you think? And then I had to like ask myself, like, why are you like even concerned? Like, you hit the mark. You know that the presentation is nice. But it's really all a part of my process. Just all a part of
Mine as well. Mine as well. I get it.
it.
Because when I do things on the other end with Kiki Creations, because that is my baby. And
Right.
when I go out and we have a job and I dream and I can taste it, how I'm going to outline and do the layout. And then when I get there, it's like, I need to do this, I need to do that. And, my team is like, it's fine, it's fine. I was like, well, fine is not good enough. Let's do
Right. Yeah, so that's me. I'm definitely also a perfectionist. So I circle back around things all the time. I micromanage myself all the time. But that's because excellence is just it for me. And I think I realized that I've instilled that into my team as well. So if it's mediocre or we don't think that it's good enough, we push it until it is, even if it requires us to make some sacrifices. The end goal is the product, and that's what we're putting out. And we want to be sure that when it's out, we feel 101% comfortable and confident in the final product.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the sacrifices because we realize what some of the sacrifices has happened to you. So let's talk about that. What are some of the sacrifices? And I'll chime in based on what I've seen.
The biggest sacrifice is just a lack of sleep. In the last week leading up to the custom launch, I'm literally working around the clock. No sleep, obviously not the best diet. And then even after the custom launch, people think, well, the custom launch happened, and that's it, you pack up. But no, like that's when the real work starts. So there's the administrative part of it because we have folks who pre-register. So I have somebody on the team who's handling that stuff, handling phone numbers, tracking payments. Then I'm in the back end paying bills from the costume lounge. Making sure that the venue is clean, keeping those relationships because we always have to return to these same exact vendors to make sure they're handled. Touching bases with my models to find out if they had a good experience because these are people that I want to make sure that I continue to work with in the future. So like in all of that, the one person who will get a shot and shortest end of the stick is myself. And even with what I do for work on a day-to-day basis, I'm now realizing that sleep is so important. And I'm no longer able. I started doing this. I started my carnival trip at the age of 16. I'm 32, and I'm realizing that the things that I could have do, a few years ago, while 32 is still very young, I'm just not able to do. My brain cannot take on too many things. I start to forget things. I start to misplace things, and I'm like, hold up, we got to slow down. But that's the biggest sacrifice. Just the lack of self care and then communication with other folks. When I am in the design phase and when I'm working on something, I disconnect from the world. Everybody around me don't hear from me, don't see me, but some people just don't understand that that's also a part of my process. So it's getting folks to understand that, hey, I'm working on something, I'm in a very creative space, and anything else outside of that is a distraction. Some people take it personal, some people get it, but then some people just don't. So that's all a part of it as well.
It is. And I get it, especially with the lack of sleep. And um you're senior. I want to say how many years you're senior, but I understand about you can't do things the same way. You have to really pay attention to the body because if we want this machine, our bodies to work the way that we would love it, especially when we're in our creative zone, we have to take that pause.
Correct.
But one of the many things that you just said, because you said a mouthful there, when you're in your creative zone, you have to focus on what's important to you. And those that get it too, and those that don't, it's okay. It's
Correct.
okay. Not everybody's going to be on the same page, but you have to stay true to self, true to your craft, true to what it is that you want your end goal to be. And you have to block the distractions out, and not just when you're preparing to get your costumes out, but every single thing that you're doing. When you know you have that goal at hand, you have to block out the noise.
And I've
You
always been
have
very
to
like
do that.
goal. I've always been very goal oriented, but I've always been very determined, right? Very persistent. I don't take no for an answer, and if something is going to get done now, it's going to get done now. I've always like trained myself to have that mindset. But what I'm now training myself to understand and accept is it just really don't have to get done right now. Maybe you should just take 2 hours of sleep, right? And like revisit it in the morning. And it's hard for me because again, have to meet the deadline, have to finish it. But sleep is very important. Very
Well, I'm
important.
glad you got that at 32 because I got that later. Later.
Yeah, I'm learning because like again, my even my day to day with what I do at the Department of Tourism, it's just like it's a lot, right? 8 hours in a day for work just isn't enough. Sometimes I'm forced to, work 10 hours. Sometimes I'm forced to wake up earlier to get more things done. But then when I wake up earlier to get more things done, I don't necessarily fall asleep earlier at night. I'm still up, suffering with insomnia, right? So it's just training my body to just understand that we just can't do it anymore. We just have to change it up a bit. We still get things done, but just not as it take it as so much as really isn't worth it.
And isn't it great that you have a team, that having a team that they understand you and they know how to jump in when it's needed, even though you don't ask?
Yes. So it's funny. I've always leaned on my team, but like presently as we speak, we just experienced tropical storm Ernesto.
Which
Um,
I still think was a hurricane, but anyway.
Yeah, I in my heart believe so too. I manage the emergency. I'm one of the individuals who manage the emergency response for my department. And I sit in the emergency operations center, which that's priority, right? There's a representative from every government agency, and we're inside the EOC. Advising, making decisions, providing updates, and advising the governor in regards to where we are. That becomes priority, no matter what. But then on the same bread or in the same bread, I still have business to do on my end. So my team have realized for the past week, it's just been Tropical Storm Ernesto. So they have actually just taken a lead. We have a meeting on Thursday. One of the team members called, asked me exactly what I need to get done, and she just took it and run with it. And I'm like, Jesus, thank you, God. Because like that's just one less thing that I have to worry about. But not
Yeah.
everyone is as fortunate enough to have such a strong team. This coming festival season is going to be a bit different from us for us. My sister, who has been my right hand for a number of years, she's deployed on a mission over in Africa with the Regionalis National Guard. And then we have a team member that just literally got married, so life changed a bit, so he won't be here. So we're meeting on Thursday to just discuss, a plan of action and how are we going to move forward with the planning and preparation for the upcoming festival in light of us having less hands. The folks who are unable to be here physically, they're still going to carry some weight, but they're now going to pick up the administrative part of it, which works because now who's doing the administrative part of it here can, fill in to do the physical, actual work and preparation. So a team is important. I have a very good team. I've been saying that for years. I definitely don't take all glory because a lot of my successes are because of them. And I just would not be as successful or have accomplished so many things without having a very strong team. Strong
It's so
team.
important. Yeah.
Sometimes you have a team, but sometimes your team is counterproductive. But I have a very strong team that are experienced and know what to do. So I don't take that for granted at all.
I'm so happy for you because I do have a magnificent team. It's three of us. Right now, behind the scenes, I have Crystal, and she's all the way in Holland, which is different time zone, and she's up just keeping it going. And then Kiana's on the other side, and she does the infomercial. So I know the importance of having a great team. So good for you because it can make you and break you because you know
Correct.
what your goals are. And when you have a team that's you don't even have to finish it and they're willing to jump in and get things done or even create something that what it is that they think you may like and hit the ground running, that is so important. That
Correct.
is so important. So
And
I
I'm like
definitely
with my team, I'm fortunate enough because we don't like, sometimes you work on a team with a lot of people and you got like egos involved. We've never like faced that. So folks know when I'm not around, my sister takes a lead. In light of her not being here, my right hand, my next right hand or my left hand in this case, she takes the lead. And if she's unavailable, then there's two other members on the team who know not to make a decision without the other, right? So and that wasn't like necessarily like written in black and white, or we didn't necessarily talked about that. It's just I guess it's me given responsibility and folks understanding, where they fall within which role they play. And it happened, right? It happened. So there's this pyramid of authority. I was talking about it, and just some way somehow it works. It works. So I have one friend, and he tells me all the time, whatever that formula is, share it with me because you were able to get it done so well. And I'm like, I don't even know what the formula is. It just happened.
that is definitely great. So I just want to even congratulate you on your launch on August 3rd because I um dipped in on August 4th and I went to your page and I saw all the great, beautiful costumes. And I was like, I can see why he was so excited and why the body had to shut down because it was good. It was great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's
Thank you.
start talking about, let's see what it is that you're offering and tell us about these juicy stuff. Crystal, let's see what's
So
there.
the team is Lush. And the process of the team, this is one section. But overall team is Lush. And I literally got the inspiration December of last year watching like some feathers on the ground. Um we were feathering some backpacks, and just some way somehow all these feathers from different sections ended up together, and I was like, that's it, that's the team. um well, that's a concept. I knew it was something fruity, and I shouted out, I was like, a fruit basket. And everybody looked around like, what is he talking about now? And I was like, forget it, don't worry about it. But I wrote it on my brain. So in the process of, now developing the concept, point a team, of final team, to the presentation, I was like, Lush. Originally it was citrus. I wanted a one-word team, but then we realized that the fruits that we were representing weren't all citrus fruits. They were succulents. From a marketing and branding stance, I did not like how the word succulents looked. So we just started to do a little more research, and I was like, Lush, that's it. So boom, we rolled with that.
I
The
love that. So
final,
you created you're did the infusion of fruits, but made it lush and not
correct,
something else.
correct. So we decided to represent five different fruits: the passion fruit, the coconut, the kiwi, the dragon fruit, and the guava. Right? Um, each fruit forced us to do some research. I'll use that. That's the one section that was up just a while ago. I'll use that section first. When you think about a coconut, you think about brown, dry, husky. A coconut isn't necessarily the most attractive fruit. However, in doing my research, I realized that a coconut serve lots of purposes. This one section is called Coconut Ice. We played off of the ice, right? That's how we got the color, right? The color white. And we play with the blues to make it a little pina colada-ish.
Like cold, like
Uh,
frosting.
yes, correct. But we use the husk sleeves to mimic the husk of the coconut.
Coconut. Love that.
So texture was the thing here. So we know we needed light colors. We wanted to incorporate some white, but we know we needed texture. So This section is called Coconut Ice, and I'll share something with you that I haven't shared with anybody else on my team after we talk about the section. It's a little corny, but I'll share it anyway.
Nothing is
Um,
corny. This is creation here.
right. So this section is one of the most popular right now. I was able to fuse two different type of feathers together. So the feathers that are closest to her body, that's called cocktails. The blue feathers that are in the upper part of the costume, those are called quills. You don't necessarily see quills and cocktail feathers used together, but I realized that I love it. But finding a creative way to use it is different, or that was a goal. That white husky, I don't even. I guess people think it's a feather, but it's not actually. What it actually is when you go to a furniture store, there's like home decor for like a corner would go in a vase. That was actually like a branch, right? And I
Yeah.
stripped out the entire thing, stripped it out, and I laid all of the white pieces in individually. So that's how I was able to create that pattern. And a feel of feathers. It's very light. There's a lot of movement. And it might be the section that I actually play mass in. I'm between this one and Kiwi.
Well, I love the creative fusion. As I said, I'm getting into more of the ideas that go behind the creativity of these costumes. So I'm opening my mind. And what I do love is the fact that not only you're playing with, your creativity, but you're playing with words because it's coconut ice, correct?
Yes. Yes.
I
Correct.
like that.
Correct.
And you're
Correct.
using, and so it's not just the feathers and everything else. It's more of you're actually putting in the work. So there's the husk
Correct.
from the branches, which defines the coconut. I like
Correct.
that. See?
So
Creative fusion.
we offered the sleeves in two different lengths. There's a long sleeve and a short sleeve. And then there's just some people who want the look without the sleeves. But it's all about the creative concept, right? Two things I focused on in my designs this year: functionality and variety. So this one section also offers high waist panties for females who may be on the heavier side or maybe want a little more coverage. And then there's another version of this panty and bra. So this what the model is wearing is in this picture is actually a monokini, and it's daring, right? But we also wanted to use a model who is one well known, but two has a real body, no tea or shade or body shaming to anybody who may have done modifications, because I love it, and I think folks should be able to do whatever they want, right? It's your body. But the model in this picture actually just had a baby. This is a real body. I don't know how she
It doesn't
slapped
look.
back so quick.
My baby's 27 years old, and I'm still trying to lose my baby fat. I
she
didn't
she
look.
actually she actually have two kids. And I was like, we like literally have to make this costume for her. And it worked. And what I did is in designing the costumes and selecting the models to wear the costumes, I wanted them to understand that this costume was made for you. When I designed this costume, I designed a costume with you in mind, because you also have to adapt the personality and know what you're representing. And she was just that girl. This picture is actually my favorite picture from that series, for that particular section, because this was literally an off-guard shot, and it came out perfect. And it's a feel good picture, right? So she's having a good time. She looks really great. The costume,
She
stands
does
out
look
really
good.
well. Just totally off guard. I was like, we're using it. We're using it. But this
I
this
love
section
that.
is probably my second favorite.
Okay, let's see what else is next.
This is my favorite.
This is the passion fruit. I take it.
No, this is actually kiwi.
Oh, the
So
kiwi. Okay.
yes. So the one thing my one friend said is that costume too green, and I was like, well, we rolling with it. The outside of a kiwi is brown, but we I just couldn't fuse or find a smooth way to fuse the right brown with the green, so I decided to just play with three different shades of green.
I love it.
This I listen. In my mind I've already pictured what I'm gonna be wearing and how I'm going to modify it for myself. And I can't wait to do that. We brought back, so in bringing back like old carnival costume elements, we brought back fringe. In our costume designs for a few years back, we use fringe all the time, and then I was like, I have to go away from fringe. I use fringe too much. And then this year I was like, we're bringing fringe back. Ironically, we found that ombre fringe, and we just circled the design around it, right? Um, it gives a little tribal feel. The feathers and the ties and on the legs. When you see a design like that, it's usually tribal, right? Something maybe like African related, warrior related. I'm sorry, but I decided to use it because it gives me the feel, a hairy feel of a kiwi. So
Oh, a
again,
kiwi.
yes.
And not
So
only that, when
again,
you cut open the kiwi, it gives it the different layers of the green, like how it is in the
yes,
back. I can see the
correct,
fruit. I can see the
correct.
fruit.
Correct. So, while not brown, again, we wanted to play with texture, play with color in this case, but also play with traditional elements of Ansan. This was actually the very, very, very first section that I did. I struggled to figure out what to do with the fringe I was hanging from the wire bra. And then I just gathered it and I was like, this is it. We're rolling. And it worked. It worked out really well. We kept the bikini part of it very simple, with just I think it's 5 stones on one side and 5 stones on the next, and then that's it. Everything else was just about the feathers, the fringe, and the impact of color.
Well, I love the impact of the color. It definitely
Yes,
gave some impact.
and this section is called Kiwi Squeeze.
Why the squeeze?
I'll get to that at the end.
Okay.
It's corny, but it's so funny. So, but again, in doing some research, I'll connect the dots.
Okay, okay. So let's see what else is next. What? Ooh,
Yes, this is guava jelly. So this was probably the easiest costume to design, the easiest section to design. I purchased all the materials. Mentally, I'd already know how I was going to lay them down. My sister and I, again, she's in Africa. I called her on FaceTime and I was like, I don't know if to make this costume a pink costume or a coral costume or a peach costume. And she was like, just fuse them together. And I was like, great. And then we just started to like put them in, like just put them in. And I was like, oh my God, impact a color. Love it. Right. And then I laid the green on top of it. That was not the plan. So I pulled some green feathers from Kiwi and I was like, let me try this. And it just worked really, really, really well. If you Google a picture of a guava has that green and
yes.
that pink and a little yellow, so it just worked really well. There's a second version of this. So this is the frontline costume with the big deluxe backpack, but then we have a feather collar that is lighter but still gives us the same look. And this section is actually very popular as well. Very, very
I
popular as
love it.
well.
I love the colors.
Yes, I
I'm a
think, and
pink
this
girl.
my favorite detail on this costume is the V in the neck. Um, when I went to buy materials, I passed it and I was like, I'm using these. My initial thought process was to use more of it, but I only ended up using one, and I was like, there's just this simple high-end touch that light V that light V provides. It's just, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the shape of it. I was like, one and done. That's it. We're just moving on. So this section was actually pretty easy to design. And again, did the chains. Offered a little something a little more risque, but then in the bodywear there's also a whole piece option, and then there's a bikini option as well. So again, variety and
So there's
functionality.
variety. So so far, most of your sections, there are variety.
All sections
Okay.
there's variety in bodywear options as well as feather options.
Hmm. Let's
Yes.
do the next one.
Oh boy, passion fruit is not for everybody. um and I said that because there is an attitude that this costume, um I don't know, it just portrays. So these are the feather pieces are two separate pieces. What we're doing is we're offering folks the opportunity to buy the backpack, the feather backpack on its own, or the feather bustle on its own, or you could buy them together. Um, Somebody made a very good suggestion to me. If I could have made two changes to this costume, I would have one keep this as is, right? And offer a yellow version of it where I would have reversed the colors, right? So it would have ultimately been a purple costume and it would have been a yellow costume. right? But I would have also changed the shape of the backpack. When I look at the section with the other sections, I was like, maybe I should have done something a little more round. But neither here or there. The feather bust sole was important for us in this design because, in doing research again, passion fruits grow on vines and not on trees. And when you
Exactly.
right, and when you cut a ripe passion fruit open, the outside is purple and the inside is yellow. Hence why we used a little bit of the yellow, right? But this section had the most impact on me. So at the photo shoot, we're shooting all the costumes. This young lady who's modeling this costume is just amazing, gorgeous, like a naturalista, don't wear makeup, just she's that girl. And I was at the outside with the photographer and I'm creative direction of our next section. And she banked the corner, right, from the restroom. And for a slight second, I lost my breath. And I was like, whoa, like, what just happened? Right? Um, and I don't usually get that feeling, but the beauty of this costume cannot be seen in pictures. This is just one of those costumes that you just have to see in person, that you have to see on the road. The stonework is all champagne and rose gold. It's very blingy, very glitzy, but for some reason it doesn't read well on camera, and I like that because on parade day when we're on the road, she's going to be the wow factor. This is also one of our most popular sections. The plus size ladies love this. I was not expecting for this to be the one section that they gravitate to the most, but ironically, it is. And then that burgundy is actually a custom made color. The factory dyed that color for us. I was, in the store looking for some things, and I, went to my friend who owns the factory, and I was like, I need this color, and he was like, well, we don't offer it. However, we could dye it. And I was like, well, great. So I had to wait about 2 3 weeks. They dyed it and then sent it in to me, and I was like, yeah, this is it. um I one of my very close friends, he hates it because he's like, this costume reminds me, if even Doracan High School in St. Thomas had a carnival troupe, because the colors are
No.
actually, it's the school colors, and I'm like, you're a hater, you're a hater. But again, we have that friendly back and forth. But this is the one section that I would make modification or two. Uh, but I still do think that this section is rocking. Just based off of the numbers, this section is it. And this section is called Passion Fruit Punch.
Well, I love the names. I love the fact that
Yes.
each section has a fruit name, and
Yeah.
you did that fusion. And you're right, it's gorgeous. And I think I'm glad that you thought outside the box and just brought it together.
Yes.
What's next?
This is the girl. This is the section that everybody is ranting and raving about. So
Okay.
this is Dragon Fruit Days. Yes. Sorry, I had to write that out mentally. So dragon fruit is the inside of a dragon fruit is black and white. The outside of a dragon
Yeah.
fruit is pink and green. Originally, I had grabbed some pink and green feathers with this black and white stretch sequence. It was the last section to design. I really did not have an applique. I had to literally create the design from scratch. And I have a piece right here that I'll show you in a minute. But what I did with this section is, instead of playing on the fruity feel of it, I played off of the word dragon. Hence why it is sharp in design. I use those long ring neck feathers on the outside to keep it very sharp. Because the stem of a
The
dragon fruit is
dragon
very
fruit.
like sharp. Right, correct. But then I use the red and black. For the dragon, gritty feel of it. This section has the most bodywear options. Everybody's going crazy for this sheer monokini that the model is wearing. And the good thing with this sheer monokini is she's wearing it with a wire bra, but you could also wear it with any bra. So if you're a girl who, you want, the sheer look, but you're like heavier on the top, a little more bustier, you could actually get a bra that provides a lot more support and coverage, but also still have the feel of the sheer monokini. So it gives a little lingerie sexy feel, but again, still provides coverage. Because again, I do believe that when participants purchase costumes, plus size models should have sexy costumes, right? A high waist panty shouldn't just be because it's a high waist panty, it was supposed to cover your stomach. I think that coverage should also equal sex appeal because you want to look good. But again, we have people with real bodies. We have people who, might be playing math for the first time and want that coverage, might be a little shy. We have people who want to play math but really don't want to be in something so risky and provocative. So we provided something for them. This section is about to close out, and I'm probably gonna close this section tomorrow, if not Tuesday, because we are at our quota for this section. But I'm, letting it run a little bit more. This is the leg piece that the model is wearing, and if you could see, I had to glue all of the spears and stones, and I created this pattern from scratch, right? So
Oh,
I
wow.
this design into the bras, into the body wear, into all the leg pieces, into the tiara. So that section took the longest to do. It's also the section, like I mentioned, with the most variety. So every time I started to touch dragon fruit, I was like, oh my God, let's just get this out of the way. But it was worth it. It was worth it. So, again, we're offering all of the big backpacks to men as well. We based on the clientele that we have every year, we realize that the guys also want some flair. So we're allowing the guys to also, purchase a big deluxe backpacks, get the full feather look if they choose to. But this is it. So, I
I
had
love
Savage
it. I
Festival.
love it. And I love the
Thank you.
functionality of it all.
Yeah.
No, will I wear any of them? No, I will admit. But I
Oh, you
love the
can.
functionality.
You can. You can. Are you shy? Are you afraid? It's kind of like just not your thing. And if it's not, that's okay because again, you can. We have revelers who we make special provisions for. If they're in a section and it needs more coverage and coverage isn't or the section doesn't offer body wear that provides more coverage, we go above and beyond and we make custom make pieces for revelers because comfort is important. So
Okay,
again,
so I would get a cute little mini dress
I
with
could
my
hook you up.
backpack.
I could hook you up, and I'm serious about it too. I could hook you up. I've done it
But
before,
I
so
will
I
say one thing that I didn't know. I didn't realize that when you wear it, I'm totally a novice here. The
Mhm.
feathers on your back. I didn't realize they were called backpacks. So you
Yes.
see, you totally brought me into a whole new world. We're here talking to Shamari Haynes about his explosive infusions of his creativity with these costumes, and we just saw four snippets of his newest release for the 2025 Carnival
Hmm.
or Festival because you do
Hmm.
festivals in St. Croix. And if you guys have any questions with regards to anything, creativity, how he came up with his ideas, even though he mentioned it, please feel free to put your comments down there because we're here live and we're open to answering any of your questions.
Of course.
It's a
Of course.
special here for us today, and we want you to feel free to say anything. So, Shamari, with regards to you being and open to persons that aren't quite sure, they want to be a reveler, but want to cover it up. You said that you can provide those things. In the past, you've had two troops, correct?
Yes. Correct.
And this year, or well, this coming year, you're doing things a little differently.
Correct. So we're doing an industry study, right? My team and I are doing an industry study. We're considering costs in an industry that is where cost is going up ridiculously. And then shipping, right? So we decided that we're going to take Savage Festival off of the road. Savage was actually supposed to be a 5-year venture. We wanted to introduce something new to the Crucian Christmas Festival and provide a safe space for revelers who want to get a little more risque, right? But we kept Savage very small. So Savage have always been less than 100 members. It catered to females only. But the one thing that everybody keep asking for is when Savage gonna get guys custom. So what we decided to do is we made dragon fruit. Actually, the Savage section, right? And we opened it up to guys as well. So although the entire troop is simply sophisticated, that one specific section is called, it's going to be Dragon Fruit, but it's going to be marketed by Savage Festival, and it's a VVIP section. Coconut is also a VVIP section. Coconut, we partnered with Lima Rowe and 101.3 FM for her radio station, and we're also offering them their own section again. So we have two VVIP sections. Anyone can join. It's for the same price. The only difference is you get a little more in your package. So yeah, we're pushing it a little bit more. Our revelers are always to the forefront of everything that we do, every decision that is made. So we always try our best to make sure that we center it around the people who make it the success that it is every year. So we always try our very best to give back. So at the
You,
costume launch, we give away costumes as well.
oh,
Last year, yeah, we do that every year. Last year at the costume distribution, we did, I think, 5 golden tickets that we just placed in random boxes. And we just give things away. We give away headphones. We give away Bluetooth speakers. We just give all kind of random things. But one of those giveaways was a costume for this year also. So we try our best to give back. It is just our way of telling folks thank you. And come back again next year.
oh, that sounds great. So, is
Yeah.
there a price range for your costumes?
Yeah, so all of the costumes start at $650. And they range, I think the most expensive, if I remember off the top of my head, is 1100. We did the thought process with the pricing was to keep the costume prices within the same exact range that they were in last year, despite the rise of the industry, or industry cost. But we also wanted folks to have two options. You could either build a costume based on your budget, or you could build a costume based on how you want to look.
Okay.
What I realize is females purchase, males too, revelers in general, purchase costumes. They take that one picture for social media. When they get enough likes, when they post a picture, they take it off. They don't look back and they don't care. Then when I see backpacks on the side of the road and I see backpacks on the truck, I'm like, damn, like it really breaks my heart because we invest so much time in creating those pieces. It's all done from scratch. So, 2 and 3 days before the parade, my team is working around the clock, making sure that we are 100% completed and ready to distribute these costumes. So I decided this year, okay, let's just give folks the option because some people just really don't want a big backpack. They just really want some feathers. Some people complain that backpacks are heavy. In being in a big troop, folks don't want to navigate through the crowd with big backpacks. So again, variety and functionality, and I realized that it
I
is
love
something that.
it. But isn't that hard on your team? It's great to have the variety and being able to function, but isn't that more tasking on your team?
Actually, no. Actually, it's less tasking on the team, less work
Okay.
because whereas we would have had to create 100 backpacks. Now if only 40 people purchase that one specific backpack, then we'll have 40 of it to make. So it's just managing the numbers early enough. It is us sticking to whatever the registration deadline is, and making sure that once we meet the quota or once we meet the deadline, then it's just for us to get the work going. It's actually a cost saver as well. So instead of purchasing materials and buying frames and all of that stuff for 100 people, if only 40 people wants it, then we would save there and then spend somewhere else.
Is there a deadline for people that just, that are seeing it not only in our show, but that are there and have seen your designs? Is there a deadline to register for each section?
So the deadline to register for the presentation in general is September 15th. I was actually preparing to announce that tomorrow, so you're getting it first. But September 15th is the absolute last day. To register for the troop, I know that other folks who have not signed up as yet are, they're shopping the market, waiting to see what other carnival troops are going to be presenting. But we're telling folks, if you know your play master, simply jump on board because September 15th is it. I just don't want the anxiety of, having to. be adding folks to the numbers, or adding more sections or more people to sections in November. What I do, however, is I do offer or purchase additional costumes and make sure that we have extra things, because there's always folks who literally show up at the ninth hour to purchase costumes. Last year festival, we had folks who left the Carnival Village 2 nights and a night before the parade and walked into our mass camp 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning to purchase costumes. It happens every year, and every single year we are able to sell costumes. Every year we have not had to turn folks around. We're
Good
always
for
prepared.
you.
Yeah, but this year things are just gonna be a little more different. So we're asking folks to just get engaged and jump on board. The costumes are out early enough. So you got time, but September 15th is the absolute last day to sign up.
Okay, great. So based on years of past and this year, what will be different in addition to, you're saying that, we have the things out early, decide now. What other changes have you made with regards to your carnival troops?
That would be the major change. Um, I think we've been doing it so long that we've figured it out, right? Figured out what works, what don't work, what we can add, what we would have to subtract, or maybe what we would have to reconsider and do differently. But the biggest change is just cutting the numbers. I know the one topic of conversation right now is folks want for carnival troops to do routines in front of the judges stand again. We stopped doing routines because the troop had gotten so big, and then we have so many people from just about everywhere that are flying in. So to teach our routine to 1,100 people in 3 days is just not it. So we
As
stopped
a
doing.
whole.
Right, it's a challenge. But we're having a conversation. We're tabling the idea of bringing back routines. We just want to see, what would be the best practice to make sure that it works for everyone, or at least majority of the carnival troops. Because 9 out of 10 times, folks are already intoxicated on the parade route. They don't forget the routine. They're not worried about it. They're in the spirit of mass. They're in the spirit of festival, so they enjoy it, right? So they don't really worry about anything else outside of that. But if we are going to do routines, we just have to figure out what would be the best option. So we're tabling it. We're having discussions around it. And we should actually have a decision by September 15th as well.
Okay. So with the routine, you said it's the or the festival committee decided that they want to have a routine?
No, the community is asking for folks, because now the parade have just turned into one wild big street party. But traditionally in the Virgin Islands Carnival and festivals, carnival troops used to do routines, dance
Mhm.
routines, and then with the change and transition of the art form of mass, routines kind of went through the door. But now the community is asking for carnival troops to return with routines. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think the carnival committee had asked for folks to have a routine in order to be judged. I don't remember if that was final, or that was a conversation somewhere. We don't compete. We won't be competing in the parade this year. We didn't compete last year. We won't be competing in the parade this year. So it really don't apply to us anyway. Because routine or not, we're gonna be in the parade nonetheless. But we'll see. Again, I try my best to deliver my word. I try my best to give the people what they want, as much as I can. So
Right.
if they want routine, we're right now trying to figure out how we're gonna make it done, how we're gonna get it done and make it happen.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah,
So let's backtrack a little bit and talk about what it is you wanted me to table until you are ready. Are you ready to talk about that stuff yet?
I am. So we talked about. So my favorite process in all of this is not the designing of the costumes, is the conceptualizing of the presentation in general, right? So I like teaming the presentation. I like coming up with the section names. I enjoy writing the descriptions. I enjoy putting together the colors. Like that's my favorite part of it. Um, but the biggest challenge this year, we're trying to figure out what are we going to name these sections. We can't call the section just passion fruit because it's just so kindergarten. We started to like look up the scientific word or name of each fruit. It just aesthetically, from a marketing stance, it just did not look good. Folks are not going to be able to pronounce them. So I was like, in conversation, I was like, paint. And my friend was like, paint. And I was like, yes. I was like, let's try to Google paint. And ironically, every single section name is actually a paint color. So coconut ice, guava jelly, passion fruit punch, kiwi squeeze, and I'm missing one somewhere in between there. They're all paint colors. Like all you could literally Google coconut ice paint and the color is gonna show up. So
Wow.
again, a little corny,
That's
but
not corny. That's exciting because, I was thinking that it was so creative that you brought into these fruit flavors. So now you're knowing that it's not only fruit. You can actually have your house painted in these your
right,
coconut
correct,
ice, which is very
correct,
pretty and all that
correct,
stuff. So that's very
correct.
informative.
Yeah.
You get
So
three folds there. You get the
it's
creativity, you get the fruit, and you get something that you can have for a long time. So I
right.
love that.
So again, in doing research, like we don't. I know that people think that carnival troops they all look alike. Everybody has feathers and bikini and beads and all these stones, but we literally do the research. Like if I once I know what I want to represent, I do the research before I purchase anything because based on what we're representing, like for example, if we decide that we want to do an underwater team, right? We have to figure out, well, are we going to do fishes? Are we going to do coral? Are we going to do underwater vegetation? So we might decide to do a little bit of each, right? If we decided we're going to do coral, which coral do we want to represent? And if we're going to represent X, Y, or Z, is it based off a texture? Is it based off a color? Is it an endangered species that we would want to highlight, right? And share with the public, right? So things like that. If we talk about fish, there's 100 fish in the sea. But which fish do we want to represent? Do we want to represent again an endangered species, or maybe something that's exotic, maybe something that is relative to the Caribbean that everybody might know, like an old wife? Or do we want to, represent something or a fish from some other part of the world and nobody didn't even know existed, right? The deeper in the ocean you go, the darker it is, but the more beautiful and more colorful it is. And the more colorful it is, the more dangerous the creature might be. So, again, because we tabled an underwater team at one point, and I started to do some research, and I was like, I don't want to do this. I think this is great, a great concept and a great idea for a children's troop. I don't want it in the adults parade, and I don't want to be the one to represent it. But again, we're having conversations about it, ironically, because we're already thinking like, what's next? What are we going to represent next year? I have an
And
idea
you've given
already.
other people ideas of like, who maybe we should do the fish.
Right, right, right. Because again, it shouldn't always be just feathers. The good thing with underwater teams is you also have the opportunity or the flexibility to work with different materials outside of feathers, as well as fabric, color. Like there's just so many things that you can do. Just me personally, I just don't like underwater teams. But I'm not against pushing the creative part of it and see where we
Well,
could go.
underwater themes are interesting, and I know that he's going to give other costume designers ideas gritty and how to get into creating great, great things. I mean, it is so exciting to speak to Mr. Haynes about how he came up with these ideas and the fact that not
I find new ideas. Finding new ideas is quite interesting. I find inspiration in every single thing, literally. Whether it might be just driving on the road and I might be stateside during the fall season and might see find inspiration in the colors on a tree. I found, like I mentioned, I found the inspiration for this year's presentation and just looking at feathers on the ground, right? Which was just so random. I find inspiration in conversation with folks, concepts, things that we talk about. I find inspiration in art, local art. I find inspiration is all around me. So I dream things. I find inspiration in every single thing. It doesn't matter what it is. I might be staring at a water bottle and I might like the shape of it, right? Or I might like the packaging, or I might like how the water look in the bottle. I literally find inspiration in every single thing, every single day, which makes doing this a lot more fun. And a lot more fulfilling, right? Because people just look at it. It go over some people's head, right? But then some being able to share the concept and the idea with folks and break it down, it's fulfilling. I do enjoy it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Haynes. I mean, I just want to say kudos to you. I want to say a passionate passion fruit icy blue ice, all that callaloo stuff. I mean, it was really exciting, and I really am glad that you came back to join us here and let's talk about you. So before we close out, is there anything that you want our listening audience to know? Do you want to tell them about how they can contact you? They want to get in and be a part of the revelers in your troop?
Yeah, so we don't use Instagram by design. But you could find us on Facebook at Simply Sophisticated Fun Troop. We have two Facebook pages. One is just regular Simply Sophisticated Fun Troop in regular font, and then you're gonna find it in a funny font. Both pages are us, direct link to myself. Or you could just visit our website at simplysophisticatedvi.com. Contact information is also there, as well as if you guys are interested in registering in one of the sections for the upcoming festival, Crucian Christmas Festival Adults Parade. You could literally do it right there online. My contact number is also on the social media pages. Also, I had a call yesterday from a young lady who's an influencer and actually has interest in bringing a few individuals down to play mass with us. So, we're open. Once we can, we will. If you're interested in volunteering, by all means, don't hesitate to contact us through the same medium as well. We always need volunteers. But aside from seeking volunteers for help, I always think it is a great opportunity for me to teach folks what I know. Nobody on my team was this involved in mass, excuse me, or had any experience in costume making. Nobody. Every single person on my team who now are telling me they don't need me actually learned from me, right? So when I'm around, they're like, "What are you? Why are you here?" But again, that's a true testament to me being a good leader and teaching what I know, and my
Absolutely.
team showing me that they have the skill set, so there's no need for me to be here, and I love that, right? So if you're interested in learning, by all means, don't hesitate to reach out. Our doors are open. We haven't officially opened the mass campus yet. We're going to be doing that next month, probably either September 13th or 14th. But we'll make an announcement on our social media page as well. We have an open door policy, so if folks want to stop by, check it out. It is one of the only mass camps here in the Virgin Islands, specifically St. Croix. So if you guys want to stop by, grab some camera footage, have a conversation, by all means, you are free to do so as well. I'm usually in and out of the mass camps. If you're there and I'm not there, I'm pretty sure someone else on my team would be able to let you know the best time to return, so we could connect and have a one-on-one conversation.
He teaches, he creates, he's
I-
busy. I mean, what more can you ask? Thank you so much for sharing your gifts, your talents, your ideas, your creative fusion. I mean, I want you to continue to stay blessed on purpose. I pray that this is a great experience for you. It was a great learning experience for me. Thank you for saying yes twice.
No problem at all.
Thank
And thank you
you,
so much for your patience. Excuse me. Thank you so much for your patience, because I'm sorry. Thank you so much for your patience again. Because like my schedule is very busy. And you know the young people say life in, and I'm understanding what that means, right? So flexibility is important. And again, I just want to apologize to not only you and your team, but to all of your viewers who were expecting me on the fort, but are hopefully back to engage in this conversation. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. You take care, our listening audience. I just want to say thank you for joining us for this surprise snippet portion of Let's Talk About You. I want to say kudos to Crystal and Kiana. Ladies, I am nothing without you. I want you guys to continue to enjoy the summer. Thank you for being a part of season 5, and we're going to see you in season 6. And I know you're going to be a part of that too, Shamari. Thank you. And you guys stay blessed on purpose. Enjoy.